Hey Sam, how you doing today?
Good, how are you?
Pretty good. Thanks for interviewing with me.
Yep.
Today we'll be talking about whether college athletes should get paid.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to start off by asking you just kind of how you feel about this topic.
Yeah, so I personally do not think they should get paid.
Okay.
I believe that they get paid in many other ways. Not only the education that they're getting, but also a thing called stipends, which a bunch of my buddies who are on scholarship here get. These are just, weekly food vouchers or just straight up cash.
Sure.
For little things, that they need. Um, and those amounts add up, and a lot of them are very unproportional. They get food vouchers. Mm-hmm. These can be for meals that are twice the amount that an average person would need. And even though they do have a more energy output than a normal person, mm-hmm. The proportions are silly.
Sure.
They're not necessary.
So what you're saying is that all these stipends and the education that they get is worth like what they should be getting paid.
Yeah.
And the sport that they play, I mean, they get all these stipends, and it's like they're getting paid for what they're doing, basically.
Absolutely. I mean, the education that they're getting in general. I mean, I'm an out-of-state student. I'm paying close to $40,000 a year. I mean, put $40,000 in your pocket. That's a full-time job with not the best of wage, but that's still a full-time job.
Right.
I mean, if I had that in my pocket, like, that's just it's not even close.
Sure.
That's. Yeah.
So what do you think about the amount of time that they might put into this sport?
Yeah, so I do understand that the amount of time they put in is a lot.
Mm-hmm.
People say it's a full-time job, and I definitely agree with that. And it's not only just the time they put in, but it's how tired they are after. The strenuous hours of film, mm-hmm. the strenuous hours of practice,
sure.
all the other stuff that goes along with it. I mean, coming back and having to study or having to do other things would be really tough, and I understand that. But once again, what you're getting out of it, I mean, you're playing a game you love.
Right.
That's the type of, that's what you wanted. You want to play the game you love, and it's something that you gotta look at as your free time, because in my free time I play basketball. Those are the choices that we're making. So getting paid basically to play the sport you love. I mean, even though you're not getting an actual wage, mm-hmm. you're still getting paid in other ways.
Okay. So you think the amount of time that they put in, it's basically a hobby for them?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, do you have any personal experiences with maybe this topic?
Yeah. So personally, I played club lacrosse here at the university for the last 2 years. I played on the competitive MCLA team, and where it wasn't exactly the same amount of hours, it was very, very time consuming. We would practice for 3 hours 3 times a week, and then travel just about every weekend in the spring, mm-hmm. for games. We'd be gone all weekend, even having to miss some class. And where, athletes on scholarship or on the actual NCAA teams might get excused, we didn't get excused. Mm-hmm. So I have also felt I felt I had to make decisions and choices, and I've had to give up a lot of things. There's been consequences for my actions, in the time I've put into mm-hmm. this. But the main thing that comes down to it is I had to pay for that. Right. Intramurals isn't competitive enough. I mean, you're joking around with your buds. Mm-hmm. You don't get what you get out of a real team, a real, a high school team or even a college team. So I had to pay $2,000 a year to play the sport I love.
Yeah.
That doesn't even factor in the time that I didn't have to have a job,
right.
to work on my schoolwork, to do other things that I love. So when it comes down to it, I mean, these athletes, they're getting paid by scholarship. They're getting paid in clothing. Mm-hmm. They're getting shoes and all types of things. Whereas I'm paying to play.
So you think it'd be kind of unfair for them to be getting paid all on top of their tuition and all their stipends because they're just kind of doing their hobby and what they love.
Absolutely.
Does that sound right?
Absolutely.
Okay, cool. So I remember you talking about maybe some friends that are on a team around here. Could you elaborate on that?
Yeah. So one of our roommates, or my roommate, is on the soccer team. He plays goalie for them.
Sure.
And the things he tells us that he receives from the program is just it's so cool. It's great, and puts a lot of time in. But I mean, it's a little excessive. I mean, he's getting free T-shirts, pants, shorts, coats, hats, gloves, shoes. He gets a new pair of shoes every semester. I mean, is that I wear the same shoes for a year and a half.
Right.
Sometimes. I mean, it's excessive once again.
And we pay for those shoes.
Yeah, and we pay for those shoes on top of it. Once again, the food vouchers. Not only they have those, they've always had food at the stadium. There's always a buffet. There's always meals to be had. You talk about the tutors that they get.
Yeah.
There are great. This university does provide great tutoring resources for free, but they're not at the same level as the tutors that the teams get. I mean, they're getting actual professors to come in and tutor them. Their schedules can be moved easily for conflicts, whereas other students can't at all.
Right. Even
like how I was saying, playing club sport, it didn't matter. They didn't respect us as much as they respect the D1 program.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that, I understand.
Definitely.
But just what they get out of the program is so much more than what any other student gets. And I know they put in more time, but they're still getting so much. And I think they're not seeing the fact that what they would get just the actual wage, an hourly wage, wouldn't even come close to matching what they're already getting now.
Sure. So you think the amount of money, the amount of things they get, the amount of food vouchers they get is not up to par with, or maybe just the amount of money that they get is just it's just too much already almost. Okay.
Yeah.
So is there anything else that you'd like to say about this?
Just to kind of close it up, I mean, I just want a little disclaimer that I respect athletes. I wish I could play a Division I sport at this level. They put so much hard work and dedication. They represent us great on the field, off the field, on the court, whatever, sport they're playing. I have the utmost respect for all of them and what they do in the community as well. I mean, they're volunteering. They're doing a lot of great stuff, and we totally appreciate that. And I just want to make sure they see, how lucky they are, because they're extremely lucky. They're extremely fortunate to be given the opportunity, to be given all the things that they're getting. And for them to ask more would just be a little selfish. And I know that the NCAA is a very almost corrupt organization, the way that they're using and taking advantage and making money off these athletes. But they have to realize why they're here. They're here for school. They're here to play the sport they love.
Definitely.
They're getting compensated. If they're good enough to play professionally, then that's what professional is for. So that's just kind of my final thoughts.
Yeah, it's another chance to just kind of play the sport you love. Right?
Exactly, yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for interviewing with me today.
Absolutely.
Really appreciate it.
Yeah.